Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Money with Alpha. This week, I want to talk about how to make money feel more fun. One of the things I hear a lot that prevents people from looking at their finances is it's boring, it's scary, I don't know enough, I don't know where to start. And usually we procrastinate the things that we don't like. Like I procrastinate cleaning and yeah, to be honest, I'm not a huge procrastinator, but when there's something I really don't want to do, I will leave it till the last moment if I can. And money's a little bit like that for a lot of people because we aren't taught it. It's a whole language that most of us don't know, and there's so much information that's thrown our way. So, how can we try and make money a little bit more fun so that we're actually maybe not excited, but interested enough to actually look into it and improve things where we can? So I've got 3 steps to this, and I've tried to keep it super duper simple. And on some of them, you're just going to have to trust me on it because you might be going, no way. But I'm telling you, it is the way it happens. So step one, you actually do have to look at your finances. However, step one will become a lot easier when you hear what step two and three are. So step one, actually look at your finances, like what's coming in, what's going out, what you have at the moment as well. So that includes your superannuation, all sorts of things. Step two is save for fun. Like literally, saving is one of those things. It becomes a habit and it's a muscle that we don't flex very often because in this day and age, everything is immediate. We want everything now. So saving becomes a bit of an interesting phenomenon that is also a little bit foreign for a lot of things too. So that's step two. And then step three is actually book the fun in, like use the money that you have in your fun fund. It's not just to sit there to gather and gather and gather and never be used. That's not, and to be honest, that's not what saving is really about. And I think that's a bit of a misnomer that we have in our minds that saving is something that we save for and we never touch. Because how boring really is that if it's money that's just sitting there, we never use it. So there's different ways of budgeting, and when I talk about budgeting, I'm more about bucketing and the money that you set aside. But specifically in this episode, I'm talking about fun. So when you start to realize that money can be used to help you have more fun, and you don't have to feel bad or guilty about it, and you don't even necessarily have to delve into every part of your finances in order to get to the fun bit. You could even just literally look at one or two things, tweak one or two things, and they're usually things that we know we don't need. Like, for instance, streaming services. Sometimes we end up with, five or six really, really easily because there's a particular show on one that we want that we've watched. And then we had that in this household as well. I was always very determined we'd only ever have two streaming services. One is Disney because my daughter is still young and there's a lot of things on Disney that she really enjoys watching, a lot of really good shows, and there's some pretty cool movies on there now as well. And then the other one was Prime, partly because we use Amazon Prime for ordering as well, and so it just made a lot more sense. But there was this particular series on Apple TV that we wanted to watch. It was Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman's Long Way Up, and it was on Apple TV. And I thought, oh, okay, all right. We'd actually had a 4 month trial that we hadn't used yet as part of our various like Apple stuff. And I thought, okay, well let's use it for that. So we ended up not even having to pay for Apple TV, but it was an interesting exercise because having just like one more streaming service, it actually felt really overwhelming. I was there just going, holy moly, it's almost like too much choice. We really don't need that much choice of things to watch when I have such a very limited amount of time where I actually do watch things as well, because there's so many other things to do besides, for me anyway, besides sit and watch sort of TV. So I don't have much time anyway. So too many streaming services just makes the decision making process too hard because it's too much. It's like going into the milk aisle in the supermarket. I'm just going, whoa. Even with the alternative milks now, there's 5 different types of almond milk, and so I'm reading the back anyway. I digress, but you get my meaning. Sometimes too much choice can actually be a bit too much. So have a look at even in your budget for things like that. If you've managed to have streaming creep, and then other things too, just have a look at your credit card. I do this with clients all the time, and they are amazed, and I'm not amazed because I see it happen so often at how much that's in there that they don't even know that they're paying for or they don't even use. I had a client was paying for something that was like an update on another city, and she's like, I've never even lived in that city. I don't even know how I signed up for that. I was like, oh, so there we go. And that was $50 a month. So as soon as you start to like cut out, you'll probably easily find $100 a month, like easily. And that $100 a month, you can start to put into a fund. I call it a fun fund. I used to call mine a travel and photography fund because that was the main things I used it for. Now I just call it fun because it's usually for travel anyway. But you could use it for outings, for hobbies, going to the theater, sort of splurgy dinners, like whatever is your thing that you want to be able to do to have fun without feeling guilty. Take that $100 or even more a month and chuck it into a high interest bank account and then actually use it. Don't overuse it. Like if you've built up, say, $500 in there and something you want costs $700, wait another few months until you've got the 700 in there. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of the fund. But once you start to see the money go in there, and this is the part that at the beginning, I asked you to trust me on, you actually won't want to touch it all. You'll want to keep some in there because you'll start to feel the joy of momentum when you see that balance grow and grow and grow, and you'll see it go up, and you're like, oh my God, this is really exciting. Like I have a rainy day fund or a buffer fund, emergency. There's a number of different names you can give it. I call it a buffer fund because it sounds less dramatic than emergency or even rainy day, because I actually like rainy days. Anyway, and I got to the limit I wanted to, and now I'm just watching the balance just grow because the interest rates on savings accounts at the moment are actually finally decent again for the first time in a long time. And so I'm just watching the balance grow. I'm not even adding to it. It's just it reached the limit I wanted, and now off it goes. And thankfully, I haven't had to touch it, so it's just growing. But the same thing happens with your saving funds, and whatever it is that you want to bucket in your budget. But this specifically the fun part, you'll start to find that you actually enjoy saving. And then when you start to enjoy that process, and then you'll start to go, oh, where else can I find some money? And then you'll start to go into that. And then before you know it, you're actually looking at your budget. And it works a bit roundabout way rather than going, oh, I have to get through the dreary stuff first before I can get to the fun stuff. Let's fast track some dreary stuff to get to the fun stuff, and then you'll be motivated by the progress that you're seeing in the fun part and all these other things that you can now do. You're like, oh, you want to be able to save for a jet ski, or you want to just go hire a jet ski, or you want to like go away camping for a weekend, and you need extra funds for site fees because maybe there's this really fantastic camping site that costs a bit more, and now you've got the money to do it. So that sort of stuff, when you can actually start to see life improving because of saving and money, you'll really get motivated to want to do things in other areas. And then you'll start to see the value and the benefit of it and how it doesn't have to be hard, and it can actually start with the fun. And then you grow and grow and grow, and then before you know it, you're looking at options in your super fund and what money you can save on your mortgage, and how you can start to maybe invest and look at like future and how to set yourself up for retirement. And there's all these things that will just cascade from there, but you don't have to think about that all at the beginning. Just think about fun. Focus on that first. And this is where it's also really important with the saving side of it to actually have your money earmarked for something. It is so much easier to save when you're saving for something in particular. I remember when we were going to need a new car, and I'd given myself 2 years. So I had the figure in my mind of what I wanted to spend on a car. And yes, that was, there was a risk there that prices could go up in that time. So then I would have just had to wait a bit longer and save a bit longer. And so I had that figure in my head, how much per month we would need to save in order to get that figure within the 2 years that I wanted to be able to do it. Because my old car was getting very old. And I thought, oh, it might only last another 2 years. So then did that and backward fitted it. And because I could see that goal and it was getting closer and closer, the closer I got to it, the more I wanted to start saving, because you could start to see that, oh my God, this is really exciting. And then in those days, the interest rates weren't so great. So I couldn't really rely on earning interest on the money that I was saving because it was a fair chunk. Cars aren't hugely cheap. But it was really, really motivating to have that particular thing. So even if there's something particular fun that you want to do, say you want to take the kids to Disneyland, or say you want to, pack up for a month or so and, buy a combi van and travel around Europe, or do whatever it is the thing is that you want. Figure out how much it is, have that figure in your mind, and figure out how much when you want to do it. Start to save that amount every month. And then you'll begin to realize the value of looking at other area of your money and your finances to be able to make that happen. And then this also helps with what to pay yourself out of your business. If you're a small business owner and you're paying yourself a salary and profit and super, which you should be, If you're not, then you'll have to start to figure that part out. I won't go into too much detail on that because I don't want to derail us from the fun part. Then you can start to figure out how much you can pay yourself and then how much out of that goes into your fun fund. And even business wise, there might be something fun that you want to do in your business. I'm a part of a few mastermind groups, and there are some beautiful retreats and masterminds that they're going on. There's this one particular retreat that I really would love to go on. And I mean, partly there's, the financial aspect. I've got some other stuff going on as well, but, I could put that, the idea of saving for that would be, make it so much easier to save because I was like, oh, I have that thing in my mind. And that then motivates you to go out and get more business as well because you're like, oh, I want to make more money so that I can put some more money aside to go to this retreat or this event or this training or whatever it happens to be. Makes it a lot easier when you've got something specific in your mind. And just thinking about that becomes more fun and interesting. And then the concept of manifestation and law of attraction starts to really kick in too, because you start to tell the universe, the world, your energy, whatever you want to call it, that this is what you want. And it's amazing how things like that just work and happen and come your way because you've been specific about what it is that you want. It's really interesting because I've started to get more and more into that the concept of manifestation again this year, which I'd done it a lot in the past, and then I don't know, time passes and other focus areas, and there's so many things that we need to be on top of, and then schooling for my daughter and all this sort of stuff, so it just sort of fell away a bit. And I'm getting back into it, and it's actually really fun, and it's a lot lighter. And saving is a little bit like that because you become clear. You do the thing that you want to do, and you save for the thing that you really want, and the money will then be available. You will make it available because you've been specific about what you want. So these are the three steps. I'll just recap them on how to make money more fun. The first one is actually look at your money. Just look at what's coming in and out. And step two is save for fun. Put money consistently aside every month for something fun. And then step three is do the fun, like have the fun, book it in, actually enjoy it so that you can enjoy the fruits of your labor and the saving for that thing that you want to save for, rather than just going, oh, now do I really want to spend it? Because then you're saying, oh, I don't know if I really want the thing I said I wanted. And then something will break and you'll have to use the money for that. Trust me, I've seen this happen so many times. I've had clients come to me and they're saving for something, they don't know what, and then all of a sudden a kid breaks their arm and they've got medical bills, or a washing machine or something breaks and they don't have a buffer fund, emergency fund, whatever you want to call it. So they have to dig into their savings for what fun. They haven't split it out. It's really, really important to make sure that you split out that money because you can see the savings grow and you can see it for that specific thing that you want. And then it's closer, it's closer, it's closer. You get really excited and you get more motivated and the momentum builds. And before you know it, you're managing your money and you're managing it better. And how great is that? And it starts to become easier and more fun. And then the more fun and easier it becomes, the more we want to do it. And the more you want to know, and the more curious we get about it. So, like, oh, well, if I can do that, then I want to know what else I can do. So it's just the human condition of we avoid the things we perceive to be hard and we will run towards the things that are easy and fun. And so let's start to make money a bit more fun. And with that in mind, find something fun to do this week. It doesn't even have to cost a lot of money or even any money. Even if it's, I don't know, just going to the park with your kids and just having a roll around, or, fly a kite if it's windy enough, and, just find something fun to do. Anything this week. Book it in, do it, schedule it. Have a wonderful week.